marriage, this is another study that came out. I'm a counselor. I really am. And, I'm all about getting life right. I want to get life right. I want to be happy. I want these things. I want these things for everybody. And I have friends who tell me everything. I had a friend that just came to me and she says, oh my gosh, I just got engaged and it was the worst proposal ever. Her boyfriend, now fiance, because she said yes, brought in a bag, put it on the kitchen counter and said, there you go. Yeah. She took it out and it's a beautiful, beautiful engagement ring. It's gorgeous. So she looked at him and she said, will you at least ask me? And she handed him the ring. He took the ring, held it towards her, and he says, do you promise not to change? See, the guys are all thinking, well, that's pretty much what I was thinking. I didn't say it. Men don't want us to change, but the truth is, ladies, we change every 5 minutes. We're a different person. That's the way we are. It's great. It's fun. Go with the flow. And you know what the other truth is that the one thing women want in their man is for them to change. But men don't change. They stay the same. You're not going to change them. How many times did your mother tell you that, ladies? Huh? You're not going to change them because she tried. The words of wisdom. There are men here tonight still wearing clothes from junior high. Come on, you know that's true. I go in my husband's closet and I take stuff out and he doesn't even know I got rid of it for months. He doesn't even know. But it had to go. Hey, where'd that yellow shirt go? Got it in high school. Where is it? It's my favorite. I don't know. I don't know where it is. They say that it takes 26 years into the marriage before you finally feel true joy, true love, and true contentment. 26 years. Yeah, swallow that one, people, huh? I had to. I'm newlywed, 57. I'm never going to feel love, joy, and contentment. If I do, it's going to be on my deathbed, isn't it? I love you so much. I'm taking that with me to heaven. We're so different. You know, the menopausal brain for a female, we become more logical after it's all done. Our corpus callosum gets a little burned up. We're done with all that. Our superhighway kind of goes away. We were more like men. We become more like men. We're not very nice, pretty much for the most part. And men, their testosterone levels decrease as you get older, and you get nicer. I think there's a Benjamin Button moment that happens sometime in a relationship where you're kind of sitting across from each other. It's like, you finally wow, this is a great moment. And then it's over. It's done. You know what happens. You go to the store, go to Walmart, watch the old men and old women. Old man's wanting to talk to the children. Hey, you could hear some cake. And the woman's going, stop it. You're making a fool out of yourself. I hate her. If you want to watch my entire special for 99 cents, click here. If you want to watch more clips, click here. Right here. Click it. You know you want to click it.
All right, and I'll tell you what, funny stuff, dry bar comedy. Our guest today on the Maurice Brown Show. Obviously, you can see she doesn't push limits with her clean style of comedy. She has 2 decades of experience in stand-up with tens of thousands of views and slots on showcases around the country. And, of course, the Dry Bar Comedy Special, which we just saw a snippet of. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the very funny and the very talented Kim Kerley. Hello, Kim. How are ya?
Hey, wow, I love that introduction. I can feel the applause. I can feel it. I can sense it. Thank you. I can't see it. I'm going to have to wear these.
Oh, it's all good, Kim. It's all good. You look very smart and astute with your glasses.
I like that. I'll start talking like this. I don't know why. So that was fun. You know, I'm watching the clip. I said that a friend of mine was asked to get married that way. I'm going to come clean. That was me. That was how I was proposed to. Only it was Christmas morning, and he put the bag on my chest before I even woke up. And I looked at it, I went, no, not this way. No. I want a better proposal. And he did that. He said, you promised not to change. I swear that happened. And then I jumped up. I didn't know. I see people wouldn't believe this part, but this is what really happened. I jumped up. I put the ring on, and that was when Lord of the Rings was really big. And I put the ring on, and I went, "Oh, my precious." So, yeah, it was a magical moment.
You know, Kim, we're talking a little bit before we came on live. You're down there in Texas. You're in San Antonio. Give everybody a little bit of an idea of how things have quickly recovered down in Texas.
Oh, men are in shorts and not wearing their shirts today. It's like almost 80 degrees, or it is 80 degrees outside. So there's no memory of snow. We don't even remember it. You know, if it happens again, we'll act happy because we forget these things.
Amen. You know what? Thank God. It was really, really scary down there. And you know, it's just, I mean, the power lines and, you know, pipes bursting and so forth, people without heat, water, the whole nine. So it's good to know that, you know, things are recovering pretty quickly.
Things that, you know, I was spared, and I did not lose electricity or water. Thank you. I want to say thank you, Jesus, but I feel bad about doing that because, you know, my neighbors now, it's like, well, Jesus didn't help me. So I say thank you, grid, you know, instead of God. Thank grid, because the grid stayed.
You're right. We don't want the neighbors. We don't want the neighbors to get mad at Jesus, Kim.
No, thank grid instead of thank God. So it was the luck of the grid is how it worked. So we're going to be paying for that grid. They're telling us it's going to be a very long relationship with the utility system. It's going to take like 10 years to pay it off, they said.
Wow.
We're going to get them. But
I'm just glad you guys. Yes. I'm just glad you guys are okay down there. Kim, let me ask you, you know, comedy's difficult for comedians during this pandemic. It's very difficult for us. Have you been doing anything to supplement the inability to be on stage live, like Zoom comedy?
Other than grabbing strangers in, you know, like the local grocery store and things like that. Is that what you're talking about? Like, please let me make you laugh, please. Yes, I've done some Zoom comedy, and I kind of like it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I kind of like it. I mean,
okay.
You know, but I keep the Brady Bunch grid up, and I watch other people, you know, and I've got a Zoom comedy show coming up on the 28th, which is Sunday. So that's with the Flappers, you know, so I'm going to be doing that. So it's kind of fun. I mean, but it keeps the wheels greased a little bit, you know?
Now, is this like Flappers Comedy Club? Like, you know, they would, I mean, are they, I guess clubs are doing shows like they would normally do them on Zoom now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's Flappers Comedy Club from LA, and it's a clean comedy show. Who knew? I'd be the clean comic. I'm very excited about this. This is good. That's good.
So they're actually booking comics as if, you know, they would normally do in the club, you know.
Well, they because I'm getting a lot of their you know, advertisements. So yeah, they're doing that.
Now I know it was really cold down there in Texas. Have they started to, or have they done outside shows down there in Texas?
Yes. So I've done a few outside shows. I've done quite a few of those, and outside shows are interesting. So you know, they have to spread them apart. Now you know how it is with a crowd.
Oh yeah.
When people laugh, then the closer they are together, the more comfortable they are with expressing laughter. I mean, literally, and you know, as comics, I look out, and sometimes people are in the audience like this, not gonna laugh. They're not gonna do it, you know. And I'll sometimes zero in. I was like, I'm gonna make that person laugh. But you know, and when you're outdoors, they're spread apart, so they're more just like in their own space, and so there's not like a group think laughter that happens. So to me, it's a little bit harder outside when they're far apart. It's kind of a psychological thing.
I would totally agree. I mean, anytime the crowds are spaced out, it's going to be more difficult to get the laughs going. So when we hear socially distanced crowd, we're like, oh gosh. So
please take a risk. Take a risk. Sit closer. I need you tonight.
Oh my gosh, it's so much when everybody's packed in. We have a place here in Washington D.C. called the Comedy Loft, and that place is it's not a huge place. They pack them in. Everybody, it's like sardines, and it's packed, and you just kill in those kind of circumstances. I mean, I just feel like Richard Pryor or something, but. Yeah, if you get to these rooms when everyone's spaced out, it's just tough sledding, but it makes you better.
Yeah, well, go back to the early days when nothing worked. So I was like, okay, that usually works.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Now,
keep going, man. Keep going. You got this.
Now, Kim, what motivated you to get started in stand-up? Because I've heard you allude to the fact that you're also a psychologist.
No, I'm a counselor.
A counselor, that's it.
I wanted to be a psychologist. I actually worked in state hospital for a while I was getting my degree, and I decided against psychology, and I went into the counseling field because with counseling, it's processing a thought. Whereas a lot of times when people are already very ill, it's just hard. It's just hard, So yeah. But I was. Way back in the day when we only had black and white TV. I watched the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah.
Who was on? George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, bless his heart. So I loved those. Rich Little, and I just recently met Rich Little, and it was his birthday. I got to do some impersonations for him. It was so cool.
How old is Rich, by the way, Kim?
Rich Little, I think he's 84 or something like that, or maybe he's a little bit older, but oh my gosh, he still does a great show. And here I was at a show sitting front and center with Rich Little, regular on Ed Sullivan Show too, right? So go back when all those comics first started, and I was just mesmerized. I'd listen to, and then Cheech and Chong, remember Cheech and Chong? And they had their albums out. I could do all their bits. And I had Chong on my radio show when I had a radio show, and I asked him how it worked. And I put him, at the driver's seat of the production. And I said, "Tell me how you did it." And he told me the story of how it all started. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so blessed. But as I got older and everything, I got married, had kids. And during the 80s, do you remember Whoopi Goldberg, Robin
Yes.
Williams, and Billy Crystal used to do the comedy, they raised money. So I would watch those, and literally I found myself as a 20-something adult sitting there watching them, and I'm not laughing. And the reason why I'm not laughing is because I'm going, I thought that. I found myself studying them and just feeling like these are my people. I mean, the heart started beating, adrenaline running, like, oh my God, this is what I should be doing. So it was my soul saying, get on stage, but I didn't listen for a while.
Yeah.
So it took a while. But on my 36th birthday, oh, by the way, the first show I ever saw live in Las Vegas was Bill Cosby. And he brought out a chair, the chair was already there, sat down, lit a cigar, and he started talking to the crowd. I'm like, I'm in heaven,
Yeah.
So, so here I am, 36 years old, and I was always the funny, kind of the funny one. This is my personality. It's like, people have parties like, when are you going to get here? It's dead. Please, and I just kind of see the funny in things, make people laugh, jokester. And, so I was 35, and it was my 35th birthday. My brother and my sister came over, and we were all talking about my mother, and who passed away, but she was still hilarious. And so we were telling these stories, and my brother started laughing so hard, and my sister's laughing, and they're just like losing their breath, and they're going, "Oh my gosh, that's hilarious!" And he tells me, so my brother's 9 years older than me, and I always looked up to him. He says, "If you don't do something with this, you're stealing, you're missing out on what you're supposed to do in life." And I had thought that. So to have my big brother, like point blank, he took me in, we went to the store, and he said, "This is what you should be doing." So I still didn't do it because, it's a scary thing. So a year later, a friend of mine bought, out of the blue, bought me a, classes in Austin. So I started taking classes in Austin on how to be a stand-up comic. So, okay. And then I went up on my 36th birthday. So it was actually a year from that point. So it's kind of, I love coincidence and serendipities and things like that and God winks. So I went up on my 36th birthday, and there was like 100 comics. It's one of those, hey, you go through the class and then invite people because you're going to be a stand-up comic. So you invite all your friends and you do your first 5 minutes, right? He put me last. This guy put me last. And there was like, it felt like 100 comics. And I was in the bathroom going, I'm not going to do this, man. But I did it. And I still do a couple of those jokes, I'm telling you.
Well, no, I mean, I think that if you ever have gold, you always keep it. You know, you have guys like Louis C.K. when he was doing his thing at the time when things were going well for him, he would build an hour and a half set, and at the end of the year, he would destroy it, throw it away, and start over. And, you know, Jerry Seinfeld was like, dude, if you have stuff that works, keep it. You keep building new stuff, of course, but you never throw away the gold.
You know, and people think of it as records. When people go out to see a comic, they want to see that bit again, even though you might be tired of doing it. They want to hear it, just like you listen to a record. When I was told that, I went, okay, you know what? If I've got stuff that's good, I guess maybe I will repeat it.
Now, I'll share a story with you about Red Fox. I don't know if you ever watched him when he was doing his thing back in the day. That guy, Red Fox is probably, well, as a pure stand-up, I would still lean towards Richard Pryor and George Carlin. But Red Fox is just as a funny dude. He's the funniest person I've ever seen. Red Fox was on the Chitlin circuit back in the 50s. When African-American entertainers just had their own deal. They really weren't allowed to mesh in with the mainstream. So they had their own circuit called the Chitlin circuit. Well, he was discovered on the Chitlin circuit. So when they asked him to do a network appearance and they wanted him to do some of the jokes that they had seen him do there, and he said, why would I do the same joke again? He thought it was ridiculous. And that's how good Red Fox was.
Yeah.
You know, he had to learn how to keep material because the networks or organizers of shows wanted to see certain bits again. And he would do it only for that reason. But he was able to always create new stuff all the time. It's amazing.
Right.
But, you know, as we talk about that, you know, you're the era that the names you were mentioning are just classic names. And one name that you didn't mention is Don Rickles.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Don Rickles was the meanest comic you'll ever see, and people loved him.
Right. Well, okay. I'm sorry. Lewis Black has a little bit of Don Rickles stuff, you know, and I worked.
He has a little bit of it going. Yes.
I'm gonna do. You know, it's that angry. I'm angry and I'm going to go on these tirades, you know, that energy of, you know, and it's a negative energy that you keep the whole time. And I worked with him, and after the show, we're sitting there.
Yeah.
And I said, how do you do it? And he looked at me and he said, because I'm crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know, Don Rickles, he was doing a Vegas show. You know, he had this joke where he'd go, is that your wife? Guy goes, yes, my wife. He'd go, oh. You know, he would do one of those numbers. And he was at his dressing room at the end of one show, and it was one of those mafioso guys, too. He was always performing in front of the mafia.
Right.
And guy knocked on his door, his dressing room at the end of one show, and Don said, oh, well, this is it. It finally caught up to me. I'm going to pay for it tonight. He said, are you Mr. Rickles? Yeah, I'm Don Rickles. Mr. Rickles, I just want to get your autograph. I think you're great. So
thank you.
Comedy is about perfecting a skill, Kim, and you have a certain way on stage where you're kind of just like in a zone.
That's my favorite time, is to get in the zone. And so when I did the Dry Bar gig, and I've got over 12 million views now, so I'm very excited. And I had to watch videos before I went on stage, because they say, you can't cuss, you can't be dirty, you can't bring up anybody, you can't. And by the time, and I listened to it on the plane. Yeah. By the time I got there, I was scared to death. I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't have material where I talk about illicit stuff. I don't. My stuff is clean, basically. But I said I was married in that clip. I'm not married. Okay. So I'm not, but it was the best way to wish your husband dead. People would rather hear that from a married person long ago, it's like, oh my gosh, he has sleep apnea and I was in an unhappy marriage. I wish he'd quit breathing. But, I set it up better than that. But you got to be careful with that because dry bar would get you. So I was a little nervous. And every now and then I would just go and then get back on it because, comedy is fun.
Do you know Corey Rodriguez?
No.
Corey Rodriguez was on my show a month ago, and he did a dry bar special. And the people out there in Provo, they're wonderful.
They are.
I've heard nothing but good things about the way they treat the comedians, and put them up, in a hotel, feed them, treat them like royalty. The whole 9 yards. The audiences they come ready to laugh, and so all of that. But they're a different breed out there, and you do have to be careful. So he was telling a joke. Yeah, he was telling a joke. And he was talking about being at his girlfriend's house, and he was just telling a joke, and he just mentioned that. And someone in the audience said, "He means his wife."
It was the girlfriend yelling that. Please, it was really his wife. Laugh for the love of all that's God. So I told one joke. I had gone on the dating circuit. Like I did Match.com. And because I'm the age I am, the guys that I'm dating are in their 70s. I'm looking across and I say, when did I start dating grandpa? And he's talking like this and he's laughing. And I'm going, oh my gosh, does he have a side smile or is he having a stroke? I think that's a great line. But the audience went, ooh. Yeah. I just killed grandpa. I killed a dating grandpa in this joke, so it didn't work. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, what?
Well, I've heard they'll give you the ooh, they'll do that to you out there. Let me ask you something, Kim. How long have you been doing comedy, Kim?
So I started on my 36th birthday, and I am now 60, so 24 years.
That's a long time. So I want to ask you this. You're seasoned. You've been doing this a while. And probably a useless question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you ever try or do open mics to work on new material?
Got to. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that. So what is it like going to these open mics where the majority of the audiences there are, of course, small, and they're young comedians. A lot of times it's just a lot of other comedians there instead of a real audience. And they're a lot younger. So what's it like dealing with that kind of a crowd to work on your stuff?
It's, I have to fight my inner, because I've been through, when I first started, I went through what they're going through. I didn't have the best jokes, of course. Dirty's easy. I wasn't ever really dirty, but you know what? Got an easy laugh. Ha ha. I'm a comic. And, but I was really lucky coming up with all the open mics I used to do. I mean, I did not miss an open mic for 4 years in San Antonio.
Wow.
We didn't have that many. Yeah. I didn't miss one for 4 years. That's midnight shows. That's Saturday afternoon shows. That's Monday night shows. Anything that I could do. And so it was just constant. I mean, there were times I went off stage and I was crying like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And my kids even said to me, because they were in high school, why are you doing something that makes you so happy? Because I've got to do it. And if you're a comic, you're drawn. It gets in your blood. It's like, yes. Doctor comes to you and says, we're going to have to cut off your arm or you can quit comedy. Well, cut off the arm because I'm not stopping getting on stage.
Well, you know what, Kim, and I was going to ask this a little bit later in the convo, but since we're on that subject of bombing, more or less, because you can't avoid it. It's unavoidable as a comedian. You're going to bomb. And,
yes.
and the element of bombing, no matter how good you become as a comedian, is really never out of play. Like it just could be one of those nights where, you bite it.
Yeah, I bit it not too long ago in San Angelo. So.
And so are you the type of person that will take a few days for a bad experience on stage to kind of get out of your system?
Yeah, and I immediately go into what can I do? What could I have done different? It's always a building. Back to being in open mics, what I'm seeing with these young kids, the younger people, is they think they're hilarious. They're not really getting that they're bad. I knew I was bad. It's like, no, that's not working. And you see them do the same thing week after week. It's like, no. We had a manager. His name was Scott Garrett at River Center Comedy Club in San Antonio, Texas. And he trained us. He would come up to a comic and say, listen, this isn't working and this isn't working. If you do it again, you're not getting on my stage again. And he really made these people, he made us like try to get better. I remember when he called me in and he said that I could open the shows and get paid. It was, like the heavens open. And he said, I think you're really funny. And it, how long it took? It took 2.5 years.
Wow.
It took 2.5 years because, and when I got funny, it's like, even some of the waitresses said it's like, boom, something happened. Well, it's because I worked. And I think back, there's a couple of things I still do, but everything's real different now. And the show that I do and the show that I like is different, but it did glean from the directions that I was taking then. But I have a hard time listening to young men talk about their body parts. I have a hard time listening to I'm a drug addict. I just have a hard time with I just don't want to hear it. And I know some people love it. And I'm going, yeah.
No, I can't stand it either, Kim. I just want to get there, get my time in, and I don't want to be rude to the other young guys. So, I try to hang out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll suffer through a few of their sets, just to, let them know that I have a little bit of respect for the, for the guys. And then I'm out of there. I'm not going to spend too long because it's so dark. And you feel really bad a lot of times for these kids because, they're going through some terrible things. And I tell them, I said, listen, guys, first of all, if you want to talk about that stuff, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Let me just tell you this. If you really are serious about being a pro, learn how to do some clean stuff because you're never going to be on Jimmy Kimmel or Conan O'Brien or Seth Meyers or Jimmy Fallon. You're not going to do that stuff on that platform. So it would behoove you to learn how to have the ability to do clean sets.
Right.
I just try to impress it upon them.
But see, there's so many in San Antonio now. So many comics. When I was coming up, 24 years ago, there was me and Dee McNary. We were the ladies in town that were doing comedy. There were no other women. Now there's so many women, which is great. Yeah. And there's so many people doing this. And so they'll call themselves working comics because they got 5 minutes. And it's like, well, working comics, keep working on it. I bombed in San Angelo. It could happen to you. So, but yeah. But the worst, I got a story about the worst I ever bombed. First of all, I have had this reoccurring dream that I'm going to make it really big. Like I'm going to make it big, and I'm going to the Oscars and I can't find my shoes. I'm late for the limo. It's one of those ambition dreams, I'm always late. Or I get on stage and I get up there and I'm like, what do I say? And I don't remember anything. So I'm headlining at the club and I went, you know what I'm going to do? I had that dream again. So they introduced me and I said, here's what we're going to do, audience. I'm going to be reintroduced. I'm going to come out and I am going to live out this dream. And I'm going to just act it out. And I did that. I took about good 3 minutes. It wasn't 5. I took about 3 minutes. And they got uncomfortable, but so did I. And I haven't it since. But the only other time that happened where I literally bombed, couldn't even remember, is when my brother came up to see me. He drove 2.5 hours. He brought his wife.
Okay.
Had his kids. And so it had to be, super clean. It was an afternoon open mic show.
Yeah.
And I get up there and his wife, by the way, never liked me.
Uh-oh.
And I knew it. And it's like, I couldn't remember anything.
Oh, wow. Oh,
and I'm like, so I took myself off the stage and I went up to him and I said, I'm sorry. I was so, I'm usually better. Usually I get at least a laugh, but it was horrible. So,
you know what, Kim? It's interesting that you share that because it's such a mental game being up there. And I learned something about emotional states, and I'm a very jovial guy. When I go out and I'm chit-chatting, I'm always having fun when I go to shows. I'm always having fun. However, on one particular occasion, I got into a little spat with the comedian.
What?
Kim, get this. And it was just an open mic, but it was the most well-attended open mic in Washington, D.C. Place was packed, and I was there way early. I said, hey, listen, I see you're busy. I'm going to be right over here. So just let me know when you're ready to, for the list. And I got out of his way.
Uh,
And I looked up about 20 minutes later, and it was like a pack of wolves around the list. And I that thing, I walked over there and I grabbed the sheet and I put my name on it.
I was there.
Gave it back, right? Now I'm hot. I told the guy, I said, if I'm not in the top 10, I'm out of here. And Maurice, you're going to be fine. He's just getting all the names together. You got to be first. Well, I was 9th, and I should have left.
You said 10.
I was infuriated. I said, look, Kim, get this, Kim. So I get up there, and I'm like, I did a set I knew was going to kill. I had just done it the night before. I just knew I was going to kill, but I'm mad. So I get up there. I throw the first 2 jokes out, nothing. And I'm like, oh, boy. Oh. And I was on one of those little boxes. So, and I like to move around when I'm on stage. I don't like standing still.
Right.
So I was forced to do that. So now my inhibitions are going, and I'm mad and I'm bombing. And then this thing here, this thing here will tend to fall out sometimes.
Oh.
If you depend. So and it fell out. I just let a joke go. It fell off the table. I'm bombing, then this falls out. I pick it up and go, hey, how do I put this thing back on? He said, just plug it in.
Oh.
So I did that. Kim, I did that. And I mean, it was terrible. But it was all because I was not in the emotional state to do comedy. And I should have gone home. Anytime you feel yourself like that, it's like, just check out. But I didn't know that.
But what did you learn about yourself? You get in the car, you learn, well, I shouldn't do comedy that way, but I could. It's interesting, isn't it? For I'd say the first 8 years that I did comedy.
Yeah.
I was kind of angry. I was kind of angry female comic. I've never been very feminine on stage. I got, like on Dry Bar, people say, look at how she walks, look at her posture. It's like, you're right, but gosh. But I've never been super like, hi. So the other day, that's not me.
Yeah.
So I was kind of the angry comic, and it wasn't working for me, and I wasn't really comfortable with it either, because I'm working out how I'm supposed to be. And once I got comfortable, so when I'm on stage, that's me. I was talking to my fiance. He's in the entertainment business, and I said, how would you describe my persona? He goes, really, it's you. That's you. And he said, but that's good. Some people do have a persona. And when I got there, when I got to me, and I walk on stage with confidence, and I'm able to look everybody in the eye and start my set, I see them just like, they like me before I even before I even say anything. And before, as a woman, now I'm going to see that there is a gender thing that happens in comedy too. But as a woman walking on stage, I had the hardest time. People didn't like me for all those years. I'm like, what's going on here?
Wow, is that right?
I'm likable, and now I don't have that problem. I walk out with confidence. I see the women just want to like me, and the truth is, yeah, women want to like the women comics. We do support each other. I get a lot of flack. There's been some women who didn't support me and flat out told me they didn't. But for the most part, Brett Butler. So for the most part, I'll just say that real quick. Women want to see women make it and do well. And we want to enjoy that moment on stage. We do. I'm not sitting, when I see a woman come on stage, I'm in your corner. I'm like, let's do this, girl. Let's go, just cheerleader.
Let me ask you this, Kim. What do you think it was that was causing the problem as far as being viewed in a negative light for a while before people actually started to like you? What do you think that was about?
Because I was angry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I worked it out. I said getting my counseling degree was cheaper than therapy. So, I was angry. I come from an anger base. I know that about my personality. So that is a part of who I am as well. And once I worked out those demons, I went through a divorce. It was not fun, and raised 2 kids. I had 3 jobs for 2 years without ever having a day off in 2 years. I worked very, very hard doing everything I wanted. You know what? Just wasn't super happy, but I wanted to be a comic. So I worked it out, figured it out.
And you know what? It's great that you say that, because there's nothing wrong with being angry, but make sure that when you get up there, whatever the problem, I mean, you can make jokes about being mad about whatever, but make sure that it's resolved anger. You know, like you're over it. Whatever it is, you just make sure you're over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're still in that thing and that schism, you're going to bomb with it. You're just going to bomb. And so it's got to be resolved. And then you were talking about, it just the mental aspect of things. That's why I started on this. I have two comedy friends that have panic attacks. And one of them actually had a similar experience that you just shared. He got on stage and he started having an attack, and he didn't get one single word out. He stood there for like 5 minutes. He was just like frozen with fear.
Did the audience think it was an act?
The good thing about it is there were a lot of comedy friends that were present, and we all knew that he was having a panic attack.
So you guys were kind of supporting him. Oh,
right.
That's
right. It was more of a supportive deal. I mean, there were clearly a lot of people there that didn't know what to do because they didn't know what it was, but a lot of people did. Now I have another, and he does comedy strictly for that reason, to work through that, which I think is hugely amazing. And then I have another comedy friend that has panic attacks. Of course, marijuana doesn't help, but I'll say this, Kim, when he has the panic attack, he'll like go on this rant that is absolutely hilarious. When he gets to the end of it, he's like, I'm having a panic attack. And then he's able to kind of get back on his horse and keep going. But it's amazing, how things like that can happen. And if you're someone that's actually struggling with it, I have tons of respect for people that deal with it, for that reason.
Anxiety. So, it's funny. It's funny, since we're talking about funny. When I called into Scott Garrett's office, and he told me that I could have my first week opening. He said, Kim, I want you to know something. He said, all comics are crazy. You're no exception. Yeah. And I went, but I'm educated and I'm this. And he goes, Kim, you're no exception.
Listen, Kim,
I tell a story about when I was growing up. I didn't like being called weird. You're a weirdo. I didn't like being called weird. And as I grew, and now as an adult, and now that I know why that upset me, is because it was true. So I didn't like the truth. I was a weirdo, but I was a fun weirdo. But yeah, I accept it. When I was getting my counseling degree. So that happened to me, and I'm getting my counseling degree. And my favorite professor, Dr. Josue Gonzalez, he's also a fan. I love this guy. He says, everybody look around. So we start looking around there. He goes, just take a good look around. So we're all looking. And this is our group therapy class. He goes, just look around. He goes, every single one of you is nuts. And I loved it because I'd already been told I was crazy. I got it. I got the news already. I'm good. He goes, there's a draw. You're here to figure things out. You study human beings. You're studying behavior. There's something about you people. He goes, I'm one of you. And these people are getting so offended, like, no, I'm not. I'm going to help others. Oh, really? There's a reason why you're going to help others, because you're nuts.
I tell you what, we're some different animals, Kim. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What motivates you to do clean comedy?
The work. And also it's a lot harder, and it's a whole lot more satisfying to really delve into. I mean, come on, Jerry Seinfeld gets up there and he tells stories about his kids and his wife, and we're dying, it's hard. But it's so rewarding. And truthfully, if you watch my show, it's my life.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't happen, friends. It was, and I tell a story about giving my daughter the mother's curse. I did that. I dressed up in an outfit, went into a room, I gave her the curse, and I ran out. I mean, these are things I did. So truth is funny and real life is funny, and looking at real life and being able to dissect it. And I expect more from myself since I am a counselor. You know, I know a little bit about behavior. I basically have a degree in conversation. So what can I bring to the table? And I get a little down on myself for not being more, you know, in that realm. You know, I want to stay in that realm.
So as a clean comic, you know, I'm a clean comedian, and we have like a certain standard. Not only do we believe we must uphold, others that view us and watch us move believe that as well. Like they expect more from us. So let me ask you, when you're up there, another thing that's a part of the game are hecklers.
Oh,
now, first of all, have you ever been heckled?
I got a good heckler story. So it was heckled. We used to do a Midnight Madness show, and in San Antonio, Texas, it was in the heyday. Man, this hit the news. We were huge, and every Saturday night they'd have to turn people away. And on a regular basis, when I got up, these people would heckle me. And then after like 6 weeks of this guy walks up, he goes, "You get me every time." But see, that was during my angry comic days. So I'm doing, and I was good. It's like, I just shoot back. So one night, I was heckled from the audience, and I let this woman have it. Couldn't see her. You know how the lights are. I couldn't see her. She was in the back of the club, and I lost the audience. I mean, lost them.
Wow.
They were so angry with me. Come to find out, she was crippled in a wheelchair in the back. She was offended that what I said to her. I didn't know that she was, you know, in a wheelchair in the back. So anyway, so then I, you know, reevaluated, how do I deal with hecklers, right? How am I going to deal with this? So I worked with Louis Ramey. Is it Louis Ramey? He was in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay.
He wore the Armani suits on Saturday nights. He carried a wad of money. He was dapper. You know, he was good. I love this guy. He had class, right? Yeah. So I dressed up on Saturday night because I knew Louis was going to dress up. So I was opening the show, and I get out there, and I'd already decided not going to deal with the hecklers. I'm not going to do that. And to this day, I don't, because I don't have a show that invites it. And if they do say something, maybe I'll go there for a second, but I'll continue on with my subject that I'm in, but I won't go off subject kind of thing. That's how I deal with it. So this particular night, there was this woman in the audience. And by the way, I am probably 38, 39 years old, and I looked really good. Okay. In a very nice dress, had my hair done. I looked really good. And she just kept yelling stuff out. Well, you know what I did? I went to the other side of the stage, and I just, you know, ignored it, because I didn't want to address it. She was a beautiful blonde girl in the front, beautiful blonde. And she just kept saying stuff. And finally, you know, I looked and I said, okay, you know, okay. And then I just kept my stuff going. Well, when I brought Ramey up, he said, "You stay right here." And he put me behind him on stage. And he went to that woman and he said, "What's wrong with you? You can't stand another woman being prettier than you." And he just started in on her. I mean, for like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Just attacked. And she kept going, and you know, she was just, finally, we find out her divorce was final that day. You know, all these things had happened to her, and she was in a mood. So he brought it back around to where everything was cool. She could enjoy her show, but she kind of got chastised for what she did. And I felt good about it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And he's passed away since, but I always thought that was a really cool thing that he did.
Well, I think it's really good for you, Kim, that you just maintained your composure and you didn't go there.
No, you know? I'd already decided never again am I going to upset a woman in a wheelchair.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's, Kim, I don't know if you would agree with this or not. Here's what I've discovered about hecklers, and because I'm not mean to them either. I try to avoid confrontations, because what happens is when they start up, that usually they've had too much to drink, and they're excited, and they think that they are helping you. You know, it's good natured.
The James Kennedy
actually good natured.
Yeah.
So I'll go, "Oh, just hold on. Wait until you hear the rest of this," right? I might say something like that. And that gave them their 5 seconds of fame, and they sit down.
Yeah.
Or I'm so focused on getting to my punchline, they fear they may be the punchline.
Oh. Yeah.
Because
I'm tired, you are.
yeah, well, I just think if you just stay on your line, and that's what makes a lot of comics upset, is because they get off their line. Now you have to pay because you took me off my line.
Right.
And if you just know your material so well, I mean, I people can drop dishes in the back, and I'm not going to lose my train of thought.
Right.
And I've just learned that most of it, of course, there are some bad apples out there. I realize that, but not nearly as many as one might assume. Most people are good natured, and if you're just patient, they'll go away.
Yeah. Well, the really drunk ones don't, and you have to get them excused.
Oh no, those folks have to be escorted out.
Like, bye. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
they have to be escorted out. So Kevin Scott Collier says, Kim, you studied psychology at UTSA. Does that give you a unique insight into what's going on with an audience?
yeah, it's funny that's a good question, because I do. First of all, I'm rather empathic. I mean, that's the human thing. It's not anything woohoo. I can feel things. I mean, Maurice, you probably feel an audience. There is a sense, there is a spirit. And so, yeah, I can tell, of course, I can look out, see where they're shifting, how they're moving sometimes. Now, I don't think that's just me. I think if you're a good comic and you look at your audience and you're wanting feedback in order to get better, that's something you do have to study. So I think I do pretty good with that. So that was a good question. I think so. Yes.
Yeah. And it's usually a situation where they're pretty docile. I had one bad experience where a guy actually got mad at me. And at first, I don't know what I said. He was, oh my gosh, he was mad. And he charged, and everybody else was having a good time. And he charged the stage. And I said, everybody, yeah, he stopped right there in front of me. And I said, everybody, it's okay. He's just excited. I promised him we'd go chase Pokemon later. Yeah. So, and everybody started laughing, and he got embarrassed and went and sat down.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
But you never know what's going to happen up there. I mean, it's. Let me ask you this, because when you walk up there, you're subject to experience anything. What is the biggest thing after 24 years of comedy, Kim, that you have learned about the craft of comedy that has actually made you a better comedian?
This is going to sound hokey, but we're there to have fun.
There you go.
I mean, if I go with, it's kind of like when you go to Las Vegas and you say, I'm going to go there to win, you just might win. Yeah. So if you walk on stage like, this is going to be fun, I'm going to bring it. I'm going to have fun.
There you go.
And I'm going to keep that train going. Now, I'm also, I've got that education background.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. I can handle a classroom. So there's a control aspect to that. I'm controlling the crowd, and it's my show, and we're going to have fun. When you said earlier about being angry and it fell apart, it's because you weren't having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't.
It's that simple. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, and it does sound hokey. But when I hear right before I go on stage and another comic says, remember, have fun. You're right. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. When I got angry that day too, I was trying to remember that I wanted to just go grab him, and I was trying to remember his name. I said, and someone in the audience said, his name's Kevin. So now they're defending Kevin. I'm the bad guy. But funny. Anyway, yeah, but no, I love it, Kim. Look, you got to have fun.
Yep.
You got to have fun. The bottom line.
That's the key. We were talking about audiences. I got one more story. This is a quick. Well, it's long, but I'm going to make it quick. Okay. I had complete laryngitis at a show that I was supposed to headline. I knew I couldn't headline it, so I asked the guy who put it together. I said, "Can you switch me in the feature because I'm having a hard time talking?" And at this point, I've got 2 kids in high school, and I need the money, right?
Yes,
so I get up on stage, and I had 100% laryngitis. I was like,
wow.
The audience started yelling, screaming. They were calling me names. They were throwing Coke cans and stuff on the. Wow. I wouldn't leave because I'm standing there thinking. I'm thinking, and this one kid yells out, "You stink!" And he's like, "You stink! Get off! Get off!" So I looked at him and I pointed at him and I said, "This." So he gets up on stage. And I whispered to him, I said, if I whisper to you line by line, will you say the lines? And he did. And it was like a rock show. There was like 1,000 people. It was in a big civic center. And I would whisper a line, everything would get real quiet. So I'd whisper the line to him. He'd deliver the line. It was like God sent the perfect little twit in the front row. He did the best job. And I said, can you impersonate a little bit? And he goes, yeah. And he did. And I said, so here's what you're going to do. And at one point he looks over at me, he goes, well, they didn't think that was that funny. And I said, tell them it's not up to you to say that. He goes, she said I'm not supposed to say that. And they're like, ah, they went crazy. So every time he delivered something, whether it was that funny or not, it was like the crowd went nuts. They went nuts. It's a great story. If there's ever a story of my life, that scene's going to be in it.
Oh, that is a great story. That is an awesome story. I love it.
I got paid.
Well, speaking of situations like that, which is very, very scary, how do you deal with the butterflies and the nervousness before you go on stage? I mean, do you have a ritual or a process you go through to stay calm?
No. I just use it. The one thing I'm worried about is that I'll get jittery like I did in the beginning, but that's what works with when you work. You do 4 years of open mics without ever skipping a mic and work and work and work. If you just go into, okay, I'm going to take this over. Like, truthfully, I get nervous if I'm dating somebody and they're watching me for the first time. That's a weird way to get it. Yeah. You're not like me after this. And it's weird at different times. Of course, before Dry Bar, I was nervous. I did Huckabee not too long ago, and I was nervous because it was just such a great venue to be on as far as, a different type of audience for me. And so I was nervous and I did miss a line, like, doggone it, I'd like to do more TV so I could work that out. That's kind of my next goal, more of that. So
it's funny you say that. Jerry Seinfeld did an episode where he took one of his dates to his show, and afterwards they're in the car and he asked for her opinion, and she says, you're really not that funny. And Jerry said, you're a cashier.
How would you know? How would you know? You're just a cashier. And see,
oh my gosh.
I love Seinfeld because that's how I saw my dating life. I'd go on these Match.com dates, and all I wanted was to go to the diner with Jerry, George, and Elaine and just tell them about my date. Like, you wouldn't believe this guy.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. So Kim, what is your writing process like? How do you come up with your material?
I don't know if you're a nighttime writer in the middle of the night, or if you're, I'm one of those, I'll sit up and I'll put it in my notes now on my phone. Yeah. And also, if I'm just in conversation with somebody and we're talking and having fun, I'll go, well, that's funny. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I told a story. I went, wait a minute, that might work. Yeah. I'm not a political comic, so I'm not going to sit there and watch TV and write political jokes because I think we have enough of that.
We got way too.
Yeah, that's not me. And you get a break. You get a break with me on that. How about that? So it's basically my life, and so how I view things and experiences that I've had. So if I think it's funny, and then. It's crazy. I get more going in my mind comedically before a show, after the show. So the more I work, the more my mind's working. It's kind of like using a language. If learning Spanish, I lived in Germany for 4 years, and I still think in a little bit of German I know. So if you're in that headspace, then you're going to continue being kind of creative. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's all about remembering or having the presence of mind to jot down something in your phone or whatever. If you're in the midst of something funny. I mean, when I'm with my wife's cracking jokes constantly. Half of my material comes from her.
There you go.
And just remembering, babe, that's gold. And I'm writing it down, and then I work it out later. After I got all these notes, then I'll come back and then I'll work it all out. But you have to be in that mindset of forming material,
right,
all the time.
Yep.
And then when you get on stage, because I'm a big believer in practice and writing, and practice and writing and practicing and practicing. It gets to the point for me, Kim, when you're talking about dealing with nervousness, it's like when I get on stage, 10 seconds before I grab that mic, I'm thinking, how am I going to remember all this stuff?
I
Right?
know I do that too. Am I
And
going
then I grab the mic.
to order I want it in? I need to make sure I do this joke because if I don't do this one, I'm going to be very upset because I need to do this one. Because if I don't do this one, how can I work it out? Because I put the new stuff in with the old stuff. You know, so I'm weaving that in there. Yes.
But here's the gold in that. I'm so ready. I don't even realize how ready I am because when I grab the mic, it's on.
Right.
And I will go from beginning to end. I won't forget anything. And I go back to the video and I look at it and I go, oh my gosh, I appear, and I do mean I appear very, very freaking composed. I mean, I'm under control. I look so calm. And I mean, like I've just got this thing figured
not what
out.
I was thinking I was looking like at all. So.
No, I wouldn't think of that at all. I was like, I don't want to see the video. But the video is very pleasant to look upon because I really do have my material down, and you can only get there if you've practiced. You've really got to work on your stuff, and that will defeat a lot of, even if you, Kim, and I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but even if you have a bad experience on stage, you can still leave with your integrity if you nailed your set the way you want it to.
Yeah, well, I've lost that integrity a few times.
I mean, it may not, yeah, but I think there's a great defense in being prepared. Like, I'm ready. And usually it'll keep the hecklers away too. If the hecklers if they feel like, you know what you're doing, they don't want to be the butt of that joke.
Right.
They're like, I'm not going to mess with this guy. Right. I'm not going to mess with him because he's just on it. And I've just kind of noticed that. Like I said, I don't know if you would agree with that. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have. I'm only 8 or 10 years in, Kim, so I'm sure I could learn a heck of a lot from you.
Carlos Alazraqui told me, he's the guy who used to do the, Carlos Alazraqui. And he, for those that don't know him, he was your Taco Bell Chihuahua for a long time. But Carlos he's so funny. But I had worked with him, and he said, don't ever tell anybody you've done comedy a few years. Tell them 8 or higher. You're 8 years in or higher. So there's a level of respect after 8 years. Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
He said, don't ever. And so I just lied and said I was 8 years in until then because Carlos told me I could. Then after I was 8 years in, then it wasn't a lie anymore. I felt good about myself.
It actually feels like I'm at that place of comfort. Like just before the pandemic hit, I was on a roll like I've never been in my comedy life. I was down in Miami, and oh my gosh, I was killing just about every night. Came back to DC, and the following week, COVID-19, no more comedy. We're done.
Everything shuts down.
So that was a tough deal. But, I just think once you get to a certain point, as long as you're not out of the game for too long, I mean, it's like riding a bike. They're just things you don't necessarily forget. But you still got to do your open mics, even if it's on Zoom.
Yeah, the Zoom's been fun. The Zoom open mic's been fun. It's given me a way to do it. And hey, listen, like I said, you know my age. I told you twice now. I don't like being out. It's not fun anymore. And I don't want to be around the youngsters talking about their body parts. And it's like, oh gosh. So the Zoom, you plug in, it's like, okay, this is great. And I can say, and because I do the bits sitting down in front of my computer. So I do it. It's not like I'm just halfway doing it. I'm doing what I need to do. So
yes,
there you go.
Kim, I'll tell you, this has been a great conversation. We have destroyed this hour. It went by just like that, too.
Oh, it's been an hour? No way.
Yeah, we've been talking for just about an hour, 58 minutes. It just went by just like that. Like I said, I'm like, whoa. But
we're fascinating, Maurice. We're fascinating.
Yeah. Well, Kim, is there any advice that you can leave with young, aspiring comedians that are thinking about making this a career?
I have seen young aspiring comedians make it, right? Pass me right on by. Eliza Schlesinger. Boom.
Okay. Yeah. She's funny. She's really funny.
She's funny, right? So it is the eye of the tiger. You've got to work, work, work. And it's a single-mindedness, and doing what it is you need to do to get better always. And the clean stuff that you're talking about, that's essential. Is there openings for, like the shock comics still, they're out there.
Yeah.
And are people laughing? Yeah. But then you're going to still make that kind of money, and you're still going to have that kind of exposure.
Yeah.
I didn't get to be on the Huckabee show and have the exposure because I talked about body parts. I did it because I talked
right, exactly. Yes.
I talked about family. And so, I got that experience because of that. So I just say, I the tiger. And then, as was said to me one time, a young lady walked up to me. She said, Kim, how can I be a better comic? And I didn't answer because the club owner did. He said, be funny.
Be funny.
So go forth and be funny. So
that's it right there in a nutshell. At the end of the day, you just got to be funny, and the laughs have to keep coming. You got figure it out. Figure it out. But Kim, you can't do it without having that eye of the tiger.
That's right. The persona is real important. I went to one of these workshops early on, and it's like they said that when a sitcom looks at a comic, they want to make a sitcom out of a comic. They pluck they use the comic's persona that they've already developed. Right? They're not changing your persona. They didn't change Fluffy's persona, right?
Yeah.
They didn't change that. They kept his persona. He developed it. He crafted that. So people who are out there, you're developing a persona. You're developing something. My persona happens to be very close to me. It's not exactly me, but it's very close to me. Yeah. And Lewis Black, his persona is the angry guy. So what's your persona? So that's super important too.
It is super important. A lot of my close friends, when I first started out, would say to me, "Hey, Maurice, that's not you up there, bud."
Really?
Yeah. One of my best friends, he told me straight up. He said, "That's not you." And the guy that I love and think is hilarious, that's who the world needs to see.
Yeah. That's cool.
So and then you don't even realize it, when you're starting out that, you're not yourself.
And people don't like that. When you're off and when you're not yourself, people sense it. So that's that psychology. I'm giving that answer again. People sense it and they're not comfortable. If you're uncomfortable and if you're not being real, if you're not have that real vibe, if you haven't developed that persona, people sense it.
They do sense it, and it's very important. And it helped me to really break through. And I had one more thing, and we'll wrap things up. But I had this joke that my wife doesn't like, but people laugh every time, and it's just part of my persona, right? And she's, I don't like that. I don't like that joke. I don't like it. And then finally, she said, "You know what? I cannot tell you not to tell that joke because everybody likes it. It's got nothing to do with me. Keep telling it." Yeah. And so it's like you have to stay true to what you think is funny.
There you go.
At the end of the day, you have to do that. How can fans follow you on social media, Kim, or contact you for booking?
On social media. So first of all, you've seen me drink. This is margarita drink water. There's no tequila in it. It's just a margarita flavored water, which is amazing. And I have an umbrella in it because I have a business called Team Umbrella Drink, and that is on Facebook. So it's Team Umbrella Drink on Facebook. Join my team. It's fledgling. We're in pre-launch. So, and also Kim Kerley, Kerley. I have a page. Follow me on that page. I already have up to what I need, 5,000. So you can follow me there. And I do post all my bookings. So the Flappers Comedy Show is going to be coming up there. Instagram, I am at Comic Kim. And on Twitter, I am at Comic Kerley because apparently Comic Kim was already taken.
Okay. Awesome stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with the very funny and talented Kim Kerley. And Kim, by the way, this show will air in a couple of hours on Roku TV. Do you have Roku TV?
Yes, I do.
So what you do is go to search and type in the Creative Motion Network.
Okay.
And you'll see the Maurice Brown Show series library, and you'll see Kim Kerley right there.
What? I'll see me. I'm tuning in. Tune in. Have a good time. It's all about comedy.
It's all about comedy. And I'm going to also send this to you on your Facebook Messenger as well. So everybody, once again, we've been talking with very funny Kim Kerley. Check out her Dry Bar comedy special as well. Very, very funny. Kim, thank you for being on the Maurice Brown Show. May the peace of Christ be with you and your family. God bless you.
Thank you.